We ain't dead yet, folks.
No, we're not.
Warning, this podcast may contain coarse language that may not be suitable for those under 14. This podcast is intended for those over the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, people from far and wide. My name is Will, and welcome to the Dark Summit Podcast. We have been off the air for a great many moons. I am joined here today by Clayton and Jacob, two very dear friends of mine. I paid them a lot less to be here this time. They've decreased their friendship fee.
Now
If you
I'm down
all
to one box of Junior Mints.
don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. What do you think this is? CNN?
Oh, God.
That's it. Dark Summit Podcast is over. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.
Will, Clayton, and Jacob had a bad falling out over Junior Mints and being cut off.
Okay, would y'all introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Jacob. I RKO'd the tree and such.
Hi, I'm Clayton. I was the one with the pedo stash. I now have a full beard, I can happily say.
Yeah, still looks like a pedophile, but... So anyway, folks, we've started this podcast so that we can talk about things that we want to talk about to an audience that has nothing else better to do.
Just
So,
looking for fuck all content.
anyway, we would like to talk about the real, not failed, Driving Housecat Dark Summit channel return. Clayton, if you have a word on that.
It's not officially a rebranding at the moment, but this is a schedule that will hopefully can actually stick to. And
Yes,
you
and this
can
is a
insert the
schedule
little
I will
clip of you
stick
saying
to.
that.
Because the max amount of content that would ever possibly come out is 2 videos a week. It could be once a week, probably about once a week. But anyway, folks, I'll cut through a lot of this. This is going to be either a weekly or a bi-weekly podcast. We're still working out all the kinks and whatnot of scheduling and other things, but this is most likely going to be a weekly podcast that we do. We'll talk about current events, things that are happening in the news, maybe some historical things and what's going on in the gaming community. But one thing that we're going to steer clear of is politics. We don't want anything to do with politics on our podcast because that's a great way to turn frenemies into enemies.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But anyway, let's talk about the channel return, if we may, for a minute. We're just mainly going to be doing this Dark Summit podcast, and occasionally I'll release either a solo gaming video or a gaming video with friends. Alright, so I want to talk about the failure that was Red Dead 2 Online.
Big disappointment there.
Yeah.
I haven't played it in a while, so I can't really say.
Hearing that is more of a disappointment than hearing this in Left 4 Dead 2.
It's like, I don't really remember much of the beginning. Like, I didn't make it past very far the beginning. It felt very empty to me when I played it last, you know, it's been forever.
I'd like to say for the record that for the folks watching, we are talking about the online, not the absolute masterpiece that was the single-player campaign. But I agree, it felt empty, there's nothing
amazing.
to do.
I cried.
You cried? You never told me that. Explain.
A little bit. I mean, without spoiling it.
It's been out when Arthur
It's an emotional
goes
game.
and falls down and says, I'm dead.
When Arthur catches that there coronavirus and he's all like, "Run along, boy."
I mean, it really wasn't that great. I made it past the beginning, and I got through the tutorials and everything. But once, like, I got out on my own, it was just kind of a now what kind of a feeling,
I mean,
and just
I toughed it out and did what there was of a quote-unquote story in online. I did the bad side and the good side, and then after that, it was just dead, nothing left to do. That was it.
we've all been kind of spoiled with GTA and their online modes. So, like, when you go from something like this to something like Red Dead Online, it just feels empty. Like there isn't
It just
enough
feels
to
like
do.
you're taking a
And
step back almost.
I mean, when canonically, yes, you are, and and you can make the right assumption. Like it's what's the time frame? 1799 or something like that.
1899.
$18.99.
Like, yeah, I get that. You can make that as a defense, like, oh, it's 1899. There wasn't much to do back then anyway. But when you're trying to make a game that kind of glorifies the cowboy life, and there's still so much you can do in it, and from what I understand, there was a lot of stuff to do in the first Red Dead game on the online version, even though I never really got a chance to play that one. Like I said, it all just comes back to the game just feels empty. Like there really isn't anything to do, and like the only way you can truly have fun in it at all is if you're playing with your friends. Like, yes, like you're playing with other people online the entire time, but unless you're actually interacting directly with them, or you have your friends online playing with you, the game just feels empty, and it feels, for lack of a better term, lonely. And it for me, it turns me off. It doesn't make me want to play the game. I haven't had the game installed. I just reinstalled it recently because it's going to be something we're going to be doing on the channel again.
I want to get into
Basically,
how I feel. Clayton, tell me if you agree with any of this, but I remember playing, and you can go back. There is records of this. You can go back on this channel and watch me and Sam and Zero and all the old guys playing Red Dead Redemption. And we had so much fun. I remember I started playing that game at the end of 2011, or the beginning of 2011, excuse me. And we had so much fun. And back in those days, we didn't even know there was a Red Dead 2. No hints had ever been gotten. Nothing had been leaked yet. This was years ago. And the online, I thought, was going to be like Red Dead and GTA combined. And that's what it is. But it's just terrible. It's just not good. And it was just such a letdown. It was a letdown. It's like I thought that when that game, back in the day when nothing had been announced yet, I thought the minute when that game comes out, me and everyone's going to be playing nothing but Red Dead Redemption 2 online, whatever it may look like. And we don't. Nobody here plays it. Sam doesn't play it. None of us play it. Look at where we're at right now. We're recording the podcast on GTA 5.
and it's just because this game just is honestly more fun than the other one, and it's, for as old as the game is, it's still enjoyable. The game still gets a lot of updates and everything, but it feels like, even though that Red Dead 2 is kind of their newer game, and it's still kind of like the main thing they should be wanting you to play, it seems like they're giving more attention to GTA than they are Red Dead 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Within the last, I'm saying too much, within the last 4 months, 4 or 5 months, they've had 3 major updates. What was it? The casino heist, and something else now. They got stock car races or something now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the newest one.
They've got all these new updates, but nobody's paying attention to Red Dead. And I think what they're doing is they've realized how big of a flop it's been, so they're not putting any money behind it.
Yeah, they know that this is their cash cow, so they're going to just support this as long as they can.
Yeah, and when I was younger, we were so excited for Red Dead 2. Because, Clayton, I won't hint anything large, but the entirety of the project that created Dark Summit that whole spiel, everything that this podcast will eventually lead into, happened because I met a friend. Someone I met on Red Dead Redemption 1 online. And all this happened. What this podcast will soon reveal in the coming months. It was just, we loved Red Dead. We loved it so much. And we were so excited. And then finally, you remember, Clayton, we watched the trailer. All three of us, remember, we watched the trailer in school. The trailer was so good, and the trailers that came afterwards. The story just hit it out of the park. But that online, it was just not what we had hoped for.
Like, I mean, it can be enjoyable if you're with friends, but no one plays it.
Enjoyable.
So.
That's it. Enjoyable.
Not quite fun. Because, like, I remember that one time. Remember when we stole that steamboat and we were driving around on the river? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And then it kept sinking.
And then it
but
kept
like
sinking.
the missions and like all the quests and shit, they seemed tedious. They didn't really seem fun. They felt very tedious.
Yeah, they're not.
Like
they're
you
not
have
fun.
to do
They seem
this.
like they're a chore.
It's like, oh, go to this, collect this horse, or collect this paper, or go kill these people. And it's like, and yes, I get that that's the same premise as like a lot of the missions in GTA. It's just, I don't know, I think it's just the aspect and the theme behind it for me, because like, if I'm being completely honest, I've never really been a Western guy, so like, I guess I have my bias, but I did, like you guys, I love the story for Red Dead 2. And it was a great game. It definitely got me involved, and that was the reason why I became so on board to play online with you guys. But then, you know, it's very lackluster. It makes the story look like the greatest game of all time, and the only other game I can compare it to, like in ways of style and feel like it just feels empty, is Fallout 76. Which I'm sure will be something we discuss in a later podcast.
It wasn't like a new world or anything. I mean, neither is this game, but you know, there's a lot more to do in this game than there is in that one.
And it's like I said, it's like we were talking about a second ago. It just seems like Rockstar pays the people at Rockstar seem to pay more attention to this game than the other one, but that's for obvious reasons. GTA is their cash cow. I guess the cowboy western genre is kind of an acquired taste when it comes to games like that, but you figure you slap the Rockstar logo on just about anything and people will buy it, people will play it, and chances are people will enjoy it.
Now, for stories, this is true, because Rockstar can make some bomb stories, but Red Dead 2 Online... Not, it's just not good.
At the same time, I gotta still kind of recognize this at the same fact. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to recognize this at the same time because I don't know, Clayton, if you were playing GTA 5 on the Xbox 360 or not. The launch for GTA Online for the Xbox 360 was a very rocky launch.
Yeah.
Like, from what I understand, the servers crashed like the first week. Like, okay.
I'm sure Will can attest to GTA Online's rocky start.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me tell you a story. Were any of y'all here for the day one launch of GTA 5 Online back in October 1st of 2013?
I was, and I remember being on basically an infinite loading screen for the first event or something.
Yeah, exactly, because, you know, they made the mistake of starting the game with a tutorial mission, and that completely screwed everything up. I remember that it wasn't until the second day, but it tells me my character was created, excuse me, on October 1st. So I guess I signed on day one, but...
Like, I remember, I don't know if it was different for everybody, but I actually did not get access to GTA Online at all until almost, I want to say like a week or two after it had launched. after the initial launch. That's probably why I still have hopes in the back of my head that Red Dead Online will eventually be redeemed, but
Yeah, me too.
let's be honest, once the sign-in error and shit, it was just fine. Like, I don't recall there being any problems with it after that.
Okay, we've been talking about a downer. Let's move on to something that makes us all feel really good, and it's a game that, thank the Lord, I'm getting for free.
Mountain Dew! Oh, beautiful Sal was a stone-hearted gal, refusing to bill or to coo. But Clem was right smart, he appealed to her heart with that gal getting good old Mountain Dew.
Yahoo! Mountain Dew!
Mountain Dew will tickle your innards, cause there's a bang in every bottle. At the county turkey shoot, cause Luke warn't worth a hoot, he was hopeless till he finally took the cue. Yahoo! Mountain Dew! Now he shoots off the cuff, gets more than enough after nipping at that good old Mountain Dew. Sure as shooting, there's a bang in every bottle of our delicious soft drink, Mountain Dew. It'll tickle your innards.
All right, so let's talk about Flight Simulator. Jacob, you were the one who first told us about this. So what can you tell us now about Flight Simulator?
Well, as of right now, it still has no scheduled release date. If you didn't already know, the game is going to have every airport on the planet. And from what I understand, it's using Bing's satellites to make this happen.
I think it's using
and,
satellite imaging of the planet so it can render everything in real time.
Yes, and basically the accuracy of placement, everything, for example, trees are going to be down to the centimeter. So basically, if you see a tree wherever, you will find that tree in real life, you know? And a lot of times, like, when you see people play testing it, they're actually challenging the people testing the game to find their real-life houses.
Now that sounds like a lot of fun. I am super excited to play this. I'm psyched to play the game.
The game will be available on PC and Xbox One. I believe it will be. It will obviously be Xbox X enhanced. Given the release date, it may be available for the Xbox Series X, but it's supposed to have hundreds of different planes, helicopters, and other things like that. Like I said, all the airports in the world and the airplanes in the game are real. They are based off of the real aircraft. No plane will fly the same.
I've heard there's like advanced controls so you can fly it as if it were a real plane.
Yes, the game will actually teach you how to fly a real plane, essentially. It will basically teach you everything you need to know about the advanced controls, and the advanced controls are just as chaotic and difficult as flying a real plane. The game will be online multiplayer. I'm just tossing numbers out here, but at least 20 people will be in a server at a time. But is there anything you guys are looking to see specifically from the game?
All right. One thing, I love aviation. Aviation is one of the great things that fascinate me. So I'm super excited to play this game. And one thing I really hope they release is like airplane is an airplane control stick module controller, so that I can actually fly with a control stick, and I don't have to use my controller. Do you think they'll do that?
If they don't release an official one, you can buy rigs for it.
Okay.
They don't run cheap because, you know, they're all fan creations, but you can buy stick rigs for it. Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds exciting.
You know, I feel like something I would like to see, like, they say a lot of the accuracy and a lot of the view, like the way how good the game looks, will be entirely dependent on your internet connectivity. So, like, the better connection you had, the better the game will look. The farther it'll be able to render, all that shit. But, like, basically, if you're somebody who has limited internet connection, or, you know, you even find yourself offline for a time, so you can actually download and save a certain region of the world, and you can play that region. You can fly around in that region with max graphic capability and max rendering as long as you want. You just got to download that certain region and it will remain in your cache. How that's going to work, I don't know. Like how the process of downloading the region will work, at least from the research I've done, has come out about the game, but that's just because a lot of the stuff that's being released right now is pre-alpha. One interesting thing I can talk about the game is that a lot of because the satellite imaging is all real time. For example, if there's a snowstorm in Maryland at the time that you're playing, it will render in that snowstorm.
Now
Yeah, it
that
renders
is
in
fascinating.
The current weathers, right?
It will have realistic weather. Weather will affect your flying experience. And yeah, you can have realistic, accurate storms. So, like, if you live in Maryland and there's a snowstorm, if you're flying around in Maryland and there's a snowstorm going on in Maryland, you will have to fly through that snowstorm.
Now, I like the sound of that.
And just not to mention, the game just looks beautiful. And that's something that really turned me on to it, is just the fact that the game looks absolutely amazing and beautiful. Is like, I've always kind of liked planes, but not to that certain degree. I can't say that this game is going to be for me. All I know is that I got a great interest in it. I'm usually not into simulators like that, but I've always enjoyed watching gameplay of Flight Simulator, like the old ones. And
Yeah.
this one, to have a new one that looks like this, and it doesn't look like it was made back in 2006, it's just fascinating. It looks real. It's going to be the most accurate representation of the planet Earth ever put into a video game.
Can you crash?
I have not seen anything about collisions.
And do you know if it
I've
has
not seen
3D
anything about-
textures, like 3D buildings?
Oh, yes, it will. If you've seen any of the gameplay from the pre-alpha footage and all that shit, everything is 3D textured. It will look essentially like this. Like, it will be kind of blocky. Like, I don't know if you've seen, like, if you go on, like, Google Maps or something right now, and you go into, like, the 3D mode, like, not quite into the street view, but you're just kind of hovering over, and it, like, makes the 3D models. It almost kind of looks like that. I mean, it looks decent, and I imagine, like, the better connection you have, and once they've got rendering and all that shit taken care of, it'll look better. But as of right now, a lot of the footage you're seeing, like, the higher you are in the air, honestly, the better it looks.
So, but Flight Simulator is a good-looking game.
It looks amazing. It's probably going to be amazing.
You know what it might do? And this ties into Red Dead. Red Dead really killed it for me. After the debacle that was Fallout 76 and the debacle that was Red Dead Online, that basically was the last nail in the coffin for me in new video games. I didn't even get the new Call of Duty. Like, I didn't get it because I just don't care
The
anymore.
only reason I have it is because of my stepfather bought it.
After those things, it just killed it for me. And this game, you know, I said it was the last nail in the coffin. This game might be the crowbar.
Because it definitely could be a saving grace. It has all the potential to be one of the best games in the last few years. And the fact that it's going to be a vehicle simulator really says a lot. Let's be honest, we've got some pretty shitty games the last couple years, but it's been kind of dormant because, you know, the life cycle of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One kind of reaching the end, you know? Like, I feel like, personally, they don't have much time left, but that's not just because, you know, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 were already officially announced, but,
Now,
like, let's be
real
honest,
quick,
we all kind of saw this coming.
before we
It's getting
move
played
on,
this far.
Xbox Series X, is that going to be a one console or is it going to be an entirely different system?
They haven't exactly specified, at least from what they say it's the next generation of gaming, but they haven't exactly specified whether or not it will be like, I guess they have, but they haven't exactly said no to the question as to whether or not it's just another version of the Xbox One. Because basically it will have all the latest hardware, all the best hardware you can get in a console.
But you'll still be able to talk to
time,
everyone on Xbox One.
from what I understand, you'll still be able to play your Xbox One games. And hell, any Xbox One controller you have right now will work with the Xbox Series X.
Now, Clayton, are you going to get the Xbox Series X? Because I know I am.
Not for a while.
I'm going to get it a couple months after launch, once they fix the kinks, because, you know, the launch Xbox One X's were just terrible. I heard a lot of horror stories.
Well, I will be putting my pre-order in later this year whenever it becomes available. Because,
yeah, so will I.
Frankly,
I'll get it on Amazon.
I've got some other things to pay off first, but after that I'll probably try.
Like I will probably put my pre-order through GameStop because I needed something that will let me do a monthly payment until the system comes out, because I cannot afford to put down $500-$600, however much it's going to be when they need it. So I will have to do like I will have to find a pre-order set that will let me do monthly payments.
Yeah, so will I.
Weekly payments.
Because now that I, have that truck and everything, that puts a little bit of strain.
Yeah.
But now, Clayton, what are your thoughts? What do you think about, Xbox One X? Or excuse me, Xbox Series X?
Well, as long as I'm able to keep playing my same games and essentially using the same hardware, then I'll be alright with it.
I was going to get the Xbox One X, but right around the time I was actually thinking about starting to do it, they announced the Xbox Series X. So I'm just going to wait for that. And I love the design. The design is amazing.
Yeah, I like it. And now I'm not so keen on the PS5 design. I'm not.
The PS5 doesn't. That's not its actual design. Those photos you see, those are the dev kits.
Oh.
The actual system itself, more than likely, will not look anything like that.
Let's get a photo up for the viewers. For the PS5, I'm gonna look at it myself. So what is a dev kit?
So a dev kit is like a test version of the console. It's like an unofficial. It's like, I guess the best way I could put it is, it's a raw version of the console. It has all the console commands, all the modification tools needed to tweak the system software and all that shit. And to top it off, it doesn't ever really look as good as the actual system. Like, people actually have old Wii dev kits and old PlayStation and Xbox dev kits, and sometimes they look really similar to the final console design. Other times they look nothing like the console design. And 9 times out of 10 when it comes to PlayStation, their dev kits look nothing like their actual console design.
Do we know that the Xbox One X is actually going to look like that? Like a big rectangle?
They've already...
Yeah, that's the confirmed design.
They've already had like a presentation thing.
That design is amazing, and I cannot wait for E3. I have a question.
I guess.
Will anyone here be buying the PS5?
I will not.
That's a real good question. Um, I want to say I will. I may not right away, because if I'm being honest, there's only really two games that I'm looking forward to playing. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big sports game nut. I like my sports games. I don't care what people say about that, but I like my sports games, and the only good baseball game that you can play is on the PlayStation. So I would legit buy the PlayStation 5 for the MLB baseball game that they got on there. You know, the show. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but MLB the show. And then they've already pretty much confirmed that they're making a sequel to the Spider-Man PS4. And fucking, I know I'm gonna have to play that.
You know, I'm really excited for the Xbox Series X. I like I've said, I think it's a beautiful design, and I can't wait to see what they have to show of it at E3 if they show it this year at E3. And I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll be getting a PS5 because I've never been one for PlayStation, and two, I didn't really see any games that caught my interest that are going to be on PS5. So I'll be getting a Xbox Series X after I've caught up on paying off all the things I got to pay. So I'd say early next year, I'll probably have a Series X.
I'll probably
See,
be the
only
first
problem-
one to have it.
Yeah, the only problem I'll have with moving on to the new console is that, sad as it may be, then the Xbox One has to kind of just fade to a memory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, as all consoles eventually do, you know, and because it was really difficult for me to let go of my Xbox 360. Like, even though I never fucking used it after I got my Xbox One again, like once I got the Xbox One, I don't know if I told you guys this. I had my 360 like literally sitting on my shelf next to my Xbox One a good almost 2 years before I got rid of it, and
I still have
like,
my 360.
And I still
feel
have
like
mine.
my 360 was the only one I ever got. I never had to replace it. It was the old Xbox
Same.
360 Elite design. So it was like the original console but black.
Yeah, I had to
So
replace a couple.
I've never had to replace a console. I've been through a couple of controllers with that thing, but more or less I treated that thing like my child, and it had eventually run its course, and eventually it gotten to the point where it just didn't even turn on anymore. And
Yeah, I remember you had to like hit it to get the disc tray to come out.
oh yeah, it sucked. But
Had to bang on it to get it to function. Kind of like Will's truck.
yeah.
But yeah.
No, but like what you guys were talking about with the design of the Xbox Series X it's okay. I mean, I guess I just have to kind of see how big it's going to be, like, before I make my assumption on it, because if it looks like a mini PC tower, if I'm being honest.
I
But
think it looks.
from what I understand, it can
Wow.
also be laid flat.
I think it looks great. I love the design of the Xbox Series X. And I'm so see, Clayton, I never saw what the Xbox One X graphics look like. I know it's 4K, but I cannot wait to see the 16 times the detail of the Xbox Series X.
4 times the size. Oh no, wait. 76. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what the next gen has.
It will definitely be something to behold.
an attention getter. All right, now you boys just stay here and watch the car. There might be some vandals around who want to steal something. So you boys just stay here and keep your hands on the car until one of my associates arrives. And don't go home. Don't go to eat. And don't play with yourself. It wouldn't look nice on my highway. Oh, you can think about it, but don't do it.
2K has announced that they will be bringing back their NFL license, so it won't just be EA making football games now.
Well, that's a nice change.
NFL 2K is coming back in 2021, but Madden will still be the exclusive simulation-style football game.
So who here thinks Baby Yoda is cute? I think Baby Yoda is cute.
I've literally got a poster of him on my wall.
You do?
My coworker says that Baby Yoda makes that show. And my local
I can send
Walmart
you a
has a
photo.
photo of him overlooking the chicken nuggets.
So, okay. What do you guys think of... Tell me this. What do y'all think of The Mandalorian?
The show was fucking fantastic.
I haven't
found
finished
to be
it yet.
amazing.
I haven't finished it.
Now, it's got a lot of Clone Wars references, which I'm sure you'll get them, Will, if you remember the Clone Wars.
I haven't seen any Clone Wars references yet.
Speaking of which, Season 7 of the Clone Wars is amazing so far. We're 3 episodes in.
3 episodes? You know what I'm going to have to do tonight? I'm going to have to sign on to Disney Plus, and I'm going to have to look at it. Because I haven't done it yet,
And
but
they're
I will do
great
it.
so far.
Yeah, they're great.
Are they about Order 66?
Not yet.
As some of the season will take place during Revenge of the Sith.
And there's some scenes that actually run parallel with scenes in Revenge of the Sith.
I don't think it's been confirmed whether or not we'll actually see Order 66 in the show.
Any final comments y'all like to say?
This is the way. No,
This
but,
ain't the way. Would you like to
Well, I don't
donate
know,
some
but-
metal to the Foundlings? No. Thank you.
Well, I would like to add one more thing, and that's just to tell all of you out there to make sure that you've got all of your proper sugars and salts.
Oh, yes. Please, please listen to Dr. Mobius and myself and the 2 wonderful hosts that have here on the podcast that make sure that you have a healthy balance of sugars and salts.
You see, just so you guys know, I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They just started doing this sugars and salts thing, but no, with The Mandalorian, it was very refreshing. Like, it shows that a Star Wars TV show can be done very well. Like,
And not have Jedi.
Exactly. You don't need to have a lightsaber to have it revolve around and to have it be Star Wars. You can tell a compelling story and not have to have a Jedi in it. And
Like I told Will, it's pretty much a Star Wars spaghetti western.
that's really all it is, too. It's like it's a Star Wars themed western, and I feel like that's kind of what Jon Favreau was going for, making this, and I can safely say he did a good job on it. You know, I'm definitely excited for season 2, which is supposed to come out, what, October?
Yeah,
right?
October this year. October 22nd, I believe.
It'll be good. I think it will be very good, and I think...
Well, okay. Everyone said their piece.
I would say so.
Yes. Also
All right,
warning
Baby
you to
Yoda.
not stick your small hand penises into Dr. Klein's Forbidden Zone.
Your filthy hand penises. Science. Science allows me to... Sugars and salts.
God damn it.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for tuning into our podcast tonight. We'll be putting up another episode in about a week's time, and we'll try to keep you updated. For those of you who live under a rock or have nothing else better to do, updated on, anything that's going on in the world. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, don't you go anywhere, planet Earth, and good night.
Then I made them bigger. Then I thought about custard. I do so love custard. Or was it mustard? Mustard custard. I miss sugars and salts.